Okay, here to do a short little Q&A. It's only 2 questions. First one is from 905 in regards to not should the UFC do tournament, or not will the UFC do tournaments, but should they? I'm gonna give my big spiel about the idea of a tournament right here. As much as I enjoy watching a tournament, I really do, because I mean, it tends to be a lot of great fighters, tends to be very action-paced because you gotta finish. At the same time, I don't think you often get the best fighters in a tournament. I think particularly a one-night tournament is a very bad idea, just because you get something like, let me try and think of a good example here. You know, no, one's not coming to mind. Oh well, one of the earlier UFCs, of course, when Royce Gracie pulled out after he fought Chemo 3, I do believe. And Ken Shamrock pulled out because he couldn't fight Royce Gracie. Basically said he had injured his hand or something. But and we wound up with Steve Jenin and Harold Howard. Steve Jenin, of course, being an alternate, Harold Howard only having fought 1 fight to get there in the finals. Well, simply put, that's a bit unacceptable, that kind of thing, and you get that with one-night tournaments. Now, if you do it the Pride GP way, you know, with the 1 fight a night, but it's a tournament format, I mean, that works beautifully, and the UFC could do that. I mean, that's very easy if you wanted to set something up. But they have, actually. They did a 4-man lightweight tournament back in the day with Matt Serra, Dean Thomas, BJ Penn, and Kel Uno. I mean, those kind of things, they work very well, and I'd enjoy maybe seeing something like that, but the one-night tournament thing doesn't really appeal to me. I mean, the Pride Grand Prix, of course, had some great moments. I mean, like the lightweight Grand Prix of 2005 with Gomi and Yves Edwards and Joachim Hansen and Tatsuya Kawajiri and Naoki Katani was in there, Luis Azevedo, Hayato Sakurai, Jens Pulver. I think that's about all that was in it. But it was a great tournament. Even the welterweight tournament that year wasn't bad. I mean, the middleweight tournament was great. I mean, with Alistair Overeem and Shogun and Arona. It was Shogun's coming out party, of course. Vanderlei Silva was in there, Lil Nog, Dan Henderson, Vitor Belfort, Igor Vovchanchin. You know, just basically outside of like the UFC names like the Chuck Liddells and the Randy Couture's and Tito Ortiz. I mean, pretty much he had every big name in there. And Bob Lou was missing. But still, so I mean, the idea of a one-night tournament is a bad idea, but the idea of a multi-night tournament, that can be done, and I think that actually will give you a good winner. Now, of course, injuries still happen, and you'll still get some fluky results, but it's a lot lower. The second question I had is from, let me just get his name here, MWG Cubs, and he's talking about, as the UFC gets bigger and bigger, and Dana White says that it'll be twice as big as it is now in 5 years, is that a good thing for the hardcore fan, or is that a bad thing for the hardcore fan? I think it's a good thing, because I think as the UFC gets bigger, other MMA organizations will get slowly bigger, because the fans will be more into the sport and not just watching the UFC. And you'll get people watching more M1, more K1, more Elite XC, more Strikeforce, even more WEC, Cage Rage, etc. And this will bring a lot of other fighters to their attention that they don't really get, such as, you know, some people still haven't seen Fedor Emelianenko fight. People haven't seen guys like some smaller ranked guys like Mario Samraskis, who had great fights with Ross Point and Ross Mason. What else is there? There's also, of course, I think a big thing is, as you see these, I think the UFC will be forced to recognize that we don't have necessarily all the best fighters in the world. In fact, there's still a fairly good portion we don't have. And they'll maybe try and actually open up the checkbook and sign some fighters to what they deserve, and not nickel and dime, and realize, hey, we don't really need, you know, more than a couple of top fighters, really. So maybe we'll finally get to see what a lot of people wanted to see when Pride shut down and the UFC bought a bunch of their talent. Now, I mean, the UFC's gotten a lot better than they used to be, but I don't really know if it quite lives up to the Super League dreams that people had. I mean, I'm sure the Super League dreams had ideas with Arona and Little Noggin, and Alistair Overeem was in it, Sergey Kharitonov, it's certainly Fedor and Takanori Gomi. I mean, people were thinking all these guys would come over, and I knew they wouldn't, which is what actually saddened me about the Pride demise, is the fact that you could have this Super League in the UFC, and the UFC wouldn't do it. But as the sport grows, I think you'll get more and more hardcore fans, less and less casual fans. Well, the casual fans might stay, but casual fans will become hardcore fans. We'll have more casual fans. And the UFC will feel forced to try to put together that Super League. So I think the sport getting bigger can only be good for the hardcore fan regardless. I mean, it may not be good for watching the UFC, because the UFC may never realize that they need top talent, and they may never need it. But at the same time, other shows at the very least will get better and better. So that's my 2 cents on that Q&A. I'll be back with my MMA awards of the year. I know I wanted to do this with a bunch of the other guys on YouTube. If we decide to do that, consider these my votes, I guess, because these are my opinion on. I'm gonna do best KO, best submission, best fight of the year, upset, moment of the year, most improved fighter, fighter of the year. Well, there will be a bunch of others, but yeah, that kind of gives you good sampling. That'll be up later today. I'm gonna put together my awards right after I'm done this video, and then I'm gonna record it. So see you guys then.